I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get this sword.
Well, I can, but I don't want to do it.
What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday morning or Friday night if you're hanging out with us. Did Buffalo win?
Yes, they came back. Huge comeback win.
I swept the board tonight. That's a joke. I placed one bet. Buffalo money line. Man, I've had like 7 in a row tailing you and Spoon. My bet's not doing so well, but when I tail you guys, I'm doing well.
Yeah, that other night, I think all 4 of the bets that you tailed.
I went 4-0 tailing you and 2-0 tailing Spoon that night. My bets went 0-2. But
whatever.
No, actually 0-3 on my bets because LSU was mine as well. But yeah, I don't know where Spoon's at. So look, there's a million games, and obviously I can't contribute a whole lot. So I'm going to bring us the CBB analytics screen up, and we'll kind of just like think out loud, see if I can find some. I've been having success on college basketball Saturdays. I don't want to stop. I want to play some bets tonight. So we'll go we'll just kind of go through it one at a time, and I'll put the screen up. We'll take a look. Obviously, Toast is going to have to kind of carry us here unless Spoon comes on. So the first game is...
Really quickly, though, big shout out to Utah State. Huge second half, winning that second half 40-26 to cover that 3.5 for us. If you got the 4.5 late, I apologize. But us 3.5ers, we're good to go.
Us 3.5ers. So the first game up, Ole Miss Kentucky. So Ole Miss Kentucky. Kentucky came through on my over in the Texas game. I actually watched a lot of that. Ole Miss. Oh, I'm on the fast break numbers. I need to be on the I want to see the regular numbers here. So, all right. This Kentucky is laying what here? It's 9.5.
9.5, 10, yeah.
So you guys were gassing up Ole Miss. Did you guys win that Ole Miss bet? You guys were all on Ole Miss +3 again against Auburn?
We did not. Absolutely.
So they lost to Auburn.
They did. And that's where I guess I don't know what to do in this game. My gut initially tells me that's a little bit too many points here. But at the same time, Kentucky has been pretty damn good lately. And I think they're really starting to figure this thing out. And I know that Spoon's talked about it a lot on this team. And I've talked about it as well. I trust Mark Pope, and I think that he's a good coach. And maybe that's a little bit different when it comes to March and whatnot. But I know that success hasn't really been there. But again, if you're looking at totality with this Kentucky team, it's easy to make fun of them because they spend money. But guess what, guys? It's Kentucky. That's what they do. This is what the whole state worries about is Kentucky basketball. So they spend all that money. It's easy to make jokes, but if you look at the body of work, I mean, the only bad loss there is, I mean, Missouri, I guess. I mean, everything else, I mean, Louisville, take it for what you want. But regardless, that's not a terrible loss. Michigan State, Gonzaga, North Carolina, Alabama. Like I said, Missouri's the only loss, and it feels like this team's caught fire. I thought that it would be a little bit of a down spot against Texas. And I thought that's why we played the over, because I really didn't want to worry about them having to cover a big number. But I feel like this is a little bit different because now you're going to be facing an Ole Miss team that really wants to slow this game down. Look, I don't know if I can actually get there with Ole Miss because I do think that the variance with Kentucky and their offense is so crazy that it wouldn't surprise me if you guys don't. For those who don't know college basketball closely, Chris Beard is like the centerpiece of this no middle defense where they are able to crash in. So it's really hard to get points inside and then you have to kick it out. And if you have 3-point shooters, a la a team like Kentucky has, that could set up for disaster for Ole Miss. But again, I lean Ole Miss on the number alone. Kentucky has a big game versus Vanderbilt on the road on Tuesday. I don't really look too big into look ahead spots, but that is a big game for them. But regardless, it would only be Ole Miss plus the points here. I can't actually bet it though.
Yeah, I did. So Chris Beard, the no middle defense, that's interesting. And I bet you I'm going to use that piece of information at some point, but I'm good. So a 3-point shooting team could really light it up potentially against Ole Miss.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Beard and his defense has been very, very good. So, but to get to them, you definitely have to be able to shoot the 3 ball.
So they run like a no middle zone.
I don't know if it's. I wouldn't call it a zone. It's like a no. They call it the no middle defense. Like it's where like everybody's. It's not like they're packed in, but they're coached to collapse and then bring back out. So
I see.
It's like the ball movement is how you're going to really attack.
So it's not
it.
necessarily the defensive play call. It's more how they are coached.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So Clemson, Georgia Tech. I added this one. You didn't click this game. Did you have any thoughts?
Yeah. Look, I think that this is a nice little spot to get Clemson here. I'm not going to bet it, but I do think that you're getting Georgia Tech off of a nice little win for them against NC State, an NC State team that just happened to beat this Clemson team that we're talking about on the road. And I loved NC State in that spot because I do think that NC State, is just a better team than Clemson. I know that they really haven't looked like that at times, but I don't think this is the case here. And when you want to fade Clemson is when they're facing, upper level competitions, the Alabamas, the NC States, the BYUs. The Georgetown game was on the road, but regardless, they're still top 100. It's not terrible. But my point being is that when you're facing teams like Georgia Tech, who's 127 in KenPom, it gives me a little bit of ease being able to lay multiple possessions with this Clemson team. Now, I will give you that. Like I said, Georgia Tech hasn't really looked good. They did come off that win versus NC State, but I mean, you could say that they've lost to some good competition, but I mean, all of their losses besides Duke, I mean, Clemson is significantly better than those, whether it be at home, on a road, or on a neutral. So I just don't find any spot here where Georgia Tech, where I can be like, okay, this is what, I mean, literally they would have to be on fire from 3-point land, I feel like, to keep this game close. Clemson should win this game, I would assume, by double digits. But again, it's Clemson on the road. Do we really want to do that with 150 games or whatever it is? Not really.
Well, the way I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the CBB analytics page here, having not watched, I've only watched one Georgia Tech game all year, and I think I've watched one Clemson game. Seems like Georgia Tech can't freaking score points.
No.
They run a fast pace, but they can't score. And if you scroll over to their fast break numbers, for a team that runs a fast pace, they don't score in the fast break at all. They run a fast pace, but don't freaking score in the fast break. So Clemson's got elite defense, slow pace. I would imagine Georgia Tech's really going to struggle to score. So I'm looking at Clemson's recent games in regulation. 142.5 seems a little bit high if I'm not even expecting Georgia Tech to get to 55, 60 points. I'll go.
Yeah, I would do Clemson. I would do Georgia
Tech team total. Yeah. I'll just put under up. But yeah, no, nothing there. Guys, remember, we're going through a bunch of games. These aren't like games that Toast picked. So use discretion.
You will know.
Yeah. He'll let you know when we get to one. I threw a bunch of games in here that he didn't pick. So like I'm kind of just throwing him curveballs here. So damn, why does it? All right. Maryland, Michigan State. This is another one that you didn't pick. The Terps did just cover by the hook, plus 19.5. They lost by 19. Where was that?
Illinois.
At Illinois. Oh, you hit that too.
Yeah.
Can they do it again?
Look, I'm not going to bet this, but again, it would only be Maryland for me. I've said it multiple times when we've backed this team, including all the way back when we bet them against Michigan. Like, I'm not trying to make a case that Maryland is a good basketball team, especially after losing Pharrell Payne. That's not the argument that I'm trying to make. What I am trying to tell you guys is that even without Payne, this team has played one of the toughest schedules in the country, and it's not even really close. So, again, playing Michigan State on the road does suck, but they've also played Illinois on the road, USC on the road, UCLA on the road, Virginia, Iowa, Gonzaga, Alabama. Gonzaga and Alabama are on neutrals, but still it wasn't at home. So this team has been tested with or without Payne. And you have a Michigan State team that has been rolling. They just went out to the West Coast and just walloped both of those teams, Washington and Oregon. And yes, both of those teams are much better, but it's still a lot of points. Again, Michigan State doesn't have any look-aheads or anything like that. Anything that positive I can say about Maryland, obviously you can say about Michigan State too. They're significantly better. I just don't know if they're really coming back from the West Coast. I don't know if I'm really in love with 18. I mean, look, again, Maryland's bad, but I don't think they're that bad. I really don't. It would only be Maryland for me.
I mean, Michigan State did put the hurt on a couple teams in this building. No, I'm good.
Yeah, they have. I made the number was like 17.5, 18 in my head. So it's how much do I really put into it, or what they did against Oregon? I know that Oregon, without their two best players, I mean, I don't know, man.
This is another one where where are the points coming from for Maryland? Michigan State's going to slow the game down. 97th in percentile in defensive rating. Yeah, I'm good here too.
I think, I don't know what CBB Analytics has. I think Michigan State's like one of the best defenses in the country. So I know Ken Pom has them one. I'm not sure exactly.
Well, we were just looking at 97th percentile. So yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Pretty close. Yeah.
Next up, Toast talks about Nebraska. Do they definitely covered against Northwestern.
Yeah.
This is so I'm assuming the reason this number is short, with everyone betting Nebraska, with them winning every single game, I'm assuming the reason this number is short is the fact that Minnesota has actually been a thorn in people's side in the barn.
Correct. I also think that, again, we can joke about it on this show, but clearly the market doesn't think that Nebraska is good, guys.
No.
And I'm not, and this isn't me trying to take shot at Nebraska. I lost my Northwestern bet. I had 2 full points of CLV on that bet. Yeah. So again, I'm not going to be upset about losing that type of bet. It sucks. But again, all this continues to show you is that the market has zero respect for this Nebraska team. Ken Pom has this game 8. This game's at 8.5 or 5.5. Excuse me. So that tells me everything I need to know. I can't take Minnesota here, but what I will say is that they have played some pretty decent competition. I know that USC isn't anything special, but Ohio State looked pretty decent against Michigan. And I will say, now, before I keep on going on about this game, the Ohio State and Michigan game, I had Michigan, they didn't cover. I just think that we're at a point now where I think Michigan's playing with their food. So, like, when I say Ohio State looked good against Michigan, like, tonight, like, I guess take it with a grain of salt, because I just don't really know if Michigan really cares right now. So I just wanted to point that out there. But Minnesota has done very well at home. But man, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to step in front of Nebraska here. I do think this number is a lot shorter than it should be. Because Ken Pom doesn't deal with, all the bullshit that we think about, and that's number still 8. So I guess if you're playing like the look ahead spot, if I'm playing TV Jones right now, Nebraska has Michigan on the road on deck on Tuesday and followed that up by Illinois. So big spot for yeah, man. I can't do it with Minnesota. I wish I could, but I really want to, but.
Well, someone said in the comments, and I don't know if he's talking about a new injury. Someone said Nebraska has a guy injured. Benny said that. Is he talking about a new injury?
I would need a name.
He said Frager is day to day. Frager, Farger. Let's see who that is.
I don't even know who that kid is.
Now let's see if it's a key player.
Oh, it's the freshman. It's that freshman, I think.
Oh, so no, he averages 22 minutes a game. So
yeah,
it looks like he's like it looks like he's a starter. Wait, no, it looks like judging by this, he's probably the 6th man.
Yeah, now, yeah, he's the big freshman kid. Yeah, that would suck. That would suck for them, especially because he's like 6'7" or something like that.
6'7", yeah.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's 6'7", and judging from this, the amount of minutes he gets, he looks to be the 6th man on the team.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not taking Nebraska then. Let's move on.
If it was masked, then I would be a little bit more worried, because he's like there. Yeah.
+8 with North Carolina. Man, this Virginia obsession.
I told you they're good.
They're laying 8 to the Tar Heels, though?
He is legit, dude. This team is legit. I agree that the 8 is a little bit much. But at the same time, what we have seen from this North Carolina team away from home, granted, 2 of those games were in California, so take that for what it's worth. But I don't know, man. It's going to take a lot from this North Carolina team. You've watched them a couple times. It's kind of erratic basketball, and that's the last thing that you want to do against this Virginia team. I know that this isn't a Tony Bennett coach team, but Ryan Odom knows what he's doing, and he has done a very good job in every spot that he's been in. It would only be Virginia for me, guy. Look, every time that Virginia's been tested, they've came through. They lost a random game against Butler, and then they lost a random three overtime game to Virginia Tech at the New Year. But regardless of that, at home or on the road, this team has been very, very good. I have no reason to believe they're going to slow down here. The SMU win was very, very impressive. So maybe you could argue that there's a letdown after the Louisville game, and then having a pretty decent comeback, not a huge comeback, but a pretty decent comeback in the second half against SMU. Maybe there's a letdown there, but I don't know, man. It would only be Virginia to me. North Carolina is just too up and down for me, especially on the road. I have to see them perform on the road to actually do it.
I didn't realize that North Carolina's been so trash on the road.
Yeah, and the Kentucky game, I mean, again,
like
I don't like to say this. I see that. And the Kentucky was in control the whole game except for the last 6 minutes, and then North Carolina went on a pretty decent run and won the game. So
damn,
I'm
still putting North Carolina up, but I now understand why it's 8. I'll say that.
Yeah. Trust me, I was looking at a way to try to get to them because
it's down to 6.5 now on FanDuel.
I do think I'm not going to play it now, but I was going to say I do think that we're getting to the point. That's why I didn't play Virginia, is that we're getting to the point where their market value is almost at not an all-time high, and high for this season.
All right, let's move on to the next game, which is Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. This is another one I threw in there. Mississippi State. Actually, you know what? I watched most of that game, Mississippi State and A&M, and I got to say, that was more A&M impressing me than Mississippi. Dude, Texas A&M is good.
We shouldn't have faded them. That's on me, guys. We had been making money hand over fist. I'm just a little bit in love with the dentist. Shouldn't have done it. Texas A&M is legit, guys.
Yeah, that team's freaking awesome. You know what? I just happen to have that game on, and when you leave a game on, you're doing something else, and you ended up watching all the post-game stuff, even though you didn't intend to. So I just happened to watch all the post-game stuff from that Texas A&M Mississippi State game. So that team, they're one of the fastest-paced teams in the country. They've gone, I think it was 6 or 7 straight games with 3 turnovers or less, despite being one of the fastest-paced teams in the country. That team is just sprinting up and down the court, completely in control somehow. So, that Texas A&M team is impressive. They beat the hell out of Mississippi State, and it was more A&M being impressive than Mississippi State sucking.
And on top, just really quickly on Texas A&M, keep in mind, Bucky came over, and so their minutes continuity is one of the worst because obviously it's a brand new team. They lost 2 games early, and after that UCF loss where they were kind of embarrassed by 12 at home, they've lost 2 games. One of them to SMU, who I keep on telling everybody, this team is legit. They're a top 25 team. You better watch out. They lost to that team in overtime, and then they lost in double overtime on the road to Tennessee. That Texas A&M team is absolutely rolling. So anyway,
the team's awesome. So Vanderbilt's got some really green looking graphics here on CBB Analytics.
Yeah, dude, they suck though. So been trying to tell everybody this year, this Seton Hall and Vanderbilt do suck. I will stay off the podium for the Nebraska hate, but I do think that they're suck and they are a first round exit for sure, or at least first weekend.
So those 8s are gone. It was 8 before. It's down to 7 on Pinnacle, 7 at Circa. You can still get a 7.5 out there. I think you buy low in the Bulldogs, right?
Vanderbilt?
No, not
or Mississippi.
Mississippi State, right?
It would only be them for me. Again, I have a little bit of an affinity. I think that Chris Jans is one of the more underrated coaches in America. I truly, truly believe that. I watched him a lot at New Mexico State when he was coaching there as well. But don't really downgrade them for over the last 4 games. I mean, they caught out Kentucky in a game where Kentucky couldn't miss. And then Alabama pretty much did the same thing.
By the way, I'm betting this.
Yeah. Alabama pretty much did the same thing to them. They got Mississippi State caught a kind of a desperate Ole Miss game at that point. Look, and the Texas A&M is really, really good. I just don't think that Vanderbilt's that good, guys. Like I've been saying this, and I know that their strength of schedule is looked, and we've had a little arguments on this show and whatnot, but VCU isn't that great. St. Mary's is 32. SMU is the one that looks really good. But besides that, I mean, a lot of those teams, UCF, a lot of those teams are just like mediocre teams that look good in KenPom. I don't really think that when you stack their schedule up to some others, that is that impressive personally. So I know that they looked good against some really bad teams, and that especially that St. Mary's wins looks really good on a neutral. But again, that's probably their most impressive win, which was St. Mary's by like 30 on a neutral. But again, it was one of those games where it was 3 games in 3 days. Like, it's just really not that impressive to me. And they got Alabama one night, the game that kind of got away. But again, that Alabama game, they shot over 50% from the field. They shot over 35% from 3. Alabama in that Alabama game where Alabama lost by 6, mind you, Alabama shot 9 for 40 from deep. So my point to all that is that even the games that Vanderbilt's winning, they've had a little luck associated with it. So against the upper echelon competition in their schedule. So I think this is a buy low. I agree with Sauce. I think this is a little bit of a buy low on Mississippi State. I didn't bet it yet, but Vanderbilt to be laying multiple possessions in a conference game is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and I was looking at it more on the Mississippi State side because I happened to watch their last game, and I bet Mississippi State against Texas A&M, and my takeaway from that game was not Mississippi State sucks. My takeaway was Texas A&M is a wagon. So, yeah, I just bet this. It looks like you can get a plus 290 money line. Interesting. But, yeah, I'm on this. All right, next up. Georgetown Providence. I don't know if this is one you picked or one I edited.
I think I picked it. I've already bet it. So.
Providence, right?
No.
Dude, stop betting Georgetown, please. They're not good.
I've only lost like once or twice betting Georgetown. I lost them against Seton Hall. And then that was it. I don't know if I've bet them again.
I could have sworn you bet them plus 9.5 against somebody. Villanova. Didn't you take plus 9.5 against Villanova?
I don't know if I actually bet it or not. We can call it 0 for 2. But regardless.
No, I think you bet them against UConn and covered too. Whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. So first of all, I got plus 6.5. I don't know if, let me see if we pull this up, if you can still get 6.5. I think
no, it's
you
5.5. You can still get a 6.
Yeah, I got 5.5 or 6.5 plus, and plus 240 on the money line, and I did bet both of those already. They're already on the website. I think that first of all, I just think that Georgetown is the better team. I know that Providence has played a very good schedule, but Georgetown has played a very good schedule too. I just feel like maybe they're not the better team, but they're not 2 possessions worse. I mean, Georgetown is, the Villanova game got away from them, but they played a very close game against UConn. They played a very close game against Creighton. The Seton Hall game got away from them, but they probably should have had that game. That was a 10-point game final, but that game could have been much, much closer than it really was. The St. John's game kind of got away from them. It is what it is. But my point to that is that it's not like Georgetown is getting absolutely throttled by margin. And when they are, or when they have lost by margin, it's to teams that are significantly better than this Providence team. Now, I know that I'm burying the lead and that Ed Cooley is coming back to Providence. But if you're watching this show at 12:30 or whatever time it is on the East Coast, you probably don't need me to tell you that.
I need you to tell me. I didn't know that. So Ed Cooley
that's going to be the huge thing. Is Ed Cooley?
And this is his first time back in Providence.
Coming back. He's been back before. Providence won. Yada yada yada.
So it's not his first time going back.
No, it's not. No, not even close. So I'm not. That doesn't mean too much for me. But I just feel like this is like a game where Georgetown can get up for this. And keep in mind, Georgetown is starting to get a little bit more healthy as the season has gone on. They were dealing with some injuries early. I just don't feel like Providence is 6.5 points better than anybody in the Big 12. The Big East, excuse me. Again, I really think that Georgetown is as good, or if not just a little bit better than Providence. So I'm well aware that the rankings don't show that, but I don't think, again, I'll say it for one last time, Providence shouldn't be laying this many to anybody.
I'll go over. Both these teams in the top percentage of the country and percentage scored in the fast break.
I see that.
Providence, 95th percentile in terms of pace. Georgetown just loves to run the fast break. I just feel like it's going to be back and forth nonstop. Go over. I will not be taking Georgetown.
Yeah, this is his 3rd time back, and Providence has won by 10 plus both of the other times. Providence should be free tomorrow.
All right, here we go. Is this in stores?
UConn and
Gamble
Villanova.
or Hartford?
It is in Hartford.
Nah, it's not as fun.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll go find something. I have let's see if I have.
I guess for me, I was a little confused by this line. KenPom has this 11, but I just thought that Villanova has been playing much better than I feel like 10 points should be or give them credit for. I mean, I think that UConn is one of the best teams in the country, and I hate to say that. I feel like very similar to earlier in the show, I talked about Michigan kind of playing with their food a little bit. In a way, I feel like UConn's kind of the same way. I mean, Turley's came out and talked about he doesn't care about the net and all that stuff. So my point to that is I think that a different gear that UConn's still able to get to that other gear. Have they showed it? Absolutely not. Because for me, you don't get points for beating up teams like Butler, DePaul, Xavier, Marquette. Everybody should be beating up on those teams. But when you face teams that even have somewhat of a pulse, especially over the last 2-3 weeks, like Providence, DePaul, Seton Hall, and Georgetown, I mean, you're having a struggle winning by multiple possessions. And now you're going to be, again, I get you're at home, but now you're going to be facing a Villanova team that's played one of the top, I'm pretty sure it's a top 25 schedule, if not top 30 at minimum, but that's played a good schedule. That's been tested on the road at Providence, on the road at Marquette. I know that they suck, but the common theme here is they've been tested on the road at Wisconsin, on the road at Michigan. They played a neutral versus BYU as well. So I'm just not at a point where I'm like, I look at this Villanova team and it's going to be like, man, going up there into Hartford, that's going to be a lot for this team. I don't really feel that way. Again, you can put Villanova for me. I do think that neither one of these teams either is going to be running with a super high pace. Both of these teams like to essentially walk it up and down and use their pretty offense to get their buckets. So there's a part of me that just feels like sooner or later we're going to get the explosion game from UConn. This might be the one with everybody watching because it's Villanova, but I can't pay the price to see it. But it would only be Villanova for me.
Yes, this picture was me. This is 2007 before a UConn Villanova game. So we're talking Nuckfova 19 years ago. Yeah. This is a rivalry, UConn Villanova.
What a shirt.
Yeah.
What a shirt.
I wonder if I still have that shirt.
Oh, man.
Nuckfova. If this is in Gamble, UConn, in Hartford, you take Villanova. Just doesn't have the same energy. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, UConn has two stadiums. At Hartford, it's a bigger stadium, less loud, and Gamble's on campus, and it's small. It's sort of like Cameron Indoor. It gets loud in there. It's a crime scene in that little place. So, yeah, this one's in Hartford.
Very similar to like St. John's, guys. They have two
Yes.
gyms, but St. John's plays in Madison Square Garden all the time. Same difference.
Yes. Georgia, Texas.
Oh, yeah. Full unit on the horns, boys. Horns up. Got them on the money line at -1. Oh, yeah. Got them on the money line at -115. Not positive where it's at now. Keep it under 3. I'm okay. Anything past 3.
Someone goes, Kyle's looks like he drank Busch Light. I would almost guarantee I had a couple Busch Lights that day.
I mean, who didn't have
Who wasn't drinking Busch Light in 2007?
I mean, who else was? I mean, did they have 30 bombs over on the East Coast?
Yeah. It was Natural Light. Natty Ice was like high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember in junior high, we got a 6-pack of Zima one night. It was lit.
So to answer your question, you said you got Texas at a pick, which is looking like an excellent bet because there's actually a 3 open. So line is moving in your favor as of right now.
Okay. So just a couple things here. For one, I don't feel like Texas is getting enough love for being a decent basketball team. I've kind of harped on it a couple times when I backed them against Vanderbilt and
Georgia's
against
good
Alabama.
though. It's not about Texas. It's about Georgia being a good team.
Oh, well, I'm going to get to them in a second. But I think that if you look at the body of work from this Texas team, that it's actually a lot more impressive than people would tend to believe. You look at their losses on a neutral to Duke, the Arizona State game, they lost by 1. They lose to Virginia at home. They lose to UConn on the road. They lose to Mississippi State at home in OT. The only time that they looked like really, really bad lately is against Tennessee, where they lost that game by like 14 or 15. But then winners against Bama and Vanderbilt, and then they go at home and they catch the beast that is Texas A&M right now. It's really, and then they played, and that game was close all the way throughout. And Texas A&M was just too good at the end of the game, and they pulled that one away. And then they ran into again Kentucky, which they only lost that game by 5 on the road. They easily could have won that game as well. My point being is that if they would have won any of those games, Texas A&M, Kentucky, or Mississippi, or Mississippi State, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Kentucky, if they would have won just one of those games, I think this line would have started at 3.5 and it would have been moving to 4 and whatnot. I truly do. I think that Texas is, and I know I said this about Florida, and now they're finally starting to get into love. Texas is like one of those next teams that I'm starting to be like, okay, is one of the more underrated teams in the country. And we talked about, and you just mentioned Georgia and how good they are. Their strength of schedule really concerns me. And when they've had some decent wins at home, but on the road, they really haven't been tested like this. And when they have went on the road, they haven't really looked good. The overtime loss versus Mississippi is okay. I think that Texas is significantly better than Ole Miss. They lost that game on the road, but then they also got absolutely murdered by Florida. And besides that, they got a win against Florida State, which I've said for months on this show. Florida State either scores 100 or gives up 100. Guess what? Georgia won that game 107-73. So, and then they lost to Clemson. But my point to that is that anytime that Georgia's really stepped up in competition, they really haven't looked great, especially on the road. The Missouri game, I will give them credit for. I mean, that looks kind of good. But again, I feel like Texas is significantly better. And I feel like Georgia is a huge step down in class from what Texas has seen over the last couple weeks as well. And they finally get a home game. And you have Sean Miller in the media talking about how the fouling has just been absolutely terrible. I have a hard time believing you're going to see all the stupid fouls that we saw, 35, 45 feet away from the basket against Kentucky. That pretty much sealed the game for Kentucky and really was kind of an issue versus Texas A&M. They lost both those games by a total of 8 points. I think Texas turns it around. I think they don't put Georgia to the line. I think they force Georgia to run their offense. They can play defense through that. Keep in mind, Texas is one of the most experienced teams in the country. I don't think there's really anything that Georgia's going to be able to throw at them that they're not going to be ready for, especially since they still like to run the pace that Georgia does, which usually Georgia can get up on teams if they're not ready for that pace. Texas is ready for that pace. Longhorns up, baby.
You got minus 115?
Correct.
Full
unit.
You can get Georgia money line at plus 130 now. You could arb out of that if you want. It's Texas at minus 155, minus 150, minus 168 on Kalshi. Damn, you nailed that one. Nah, I mean, Georgia came through for me. I just bet Georgia. I actually just bet Georgia with you the other night. Yeah. Who did we bet him against? Missouri. And I watched the game too. They finished strong. Missouri took the lead and they finished strong.
Yeah, this wasn't. That was, and that we had a huge 3 at the end. Yeah, that was huge. Trust me, though.
It's kind of hard to argue with a minus 115 that's sitting at minus 155 right now.
Well, yeah, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. South Carolina to A&M, who's apparently the best team in the country. I'm not even considering South Carolina. This team's unstoppable.
It would only be Texas A&M for me here, guys.
This team's a wagon.
Yes, I know that we've had a lot of fun with them on this show, but again, they're one of the teams that I feel like nobody's talking about. And I think that people have this misconception about buckyball and coming over from Stanford and running the pace and stuff like that. But I mean, the SEC is a really good conference, probably a top 3 conference in the country, and they are running through it. And again, their only loss in conference so far. Again, it's only 6 games, but on the road at Tennessee in double overtime, a game that they probably should have won themselves. So until they slow down, I have no reason to believe that they're going to be slowing down here against a South Carolina team that's been absolutely terrible. They finally got up, and I think it's more of a game where Auburn just didn't look good. They finally looked decent on the road. They only lost by 4 to Auburn, but Arkansas killed them. I mean, they didn't look good against Georgia, Clemson. I don't know, man. It's just really hard to get there with South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, if Texas A&M plays like they did against Mississippi State, then they will win by double digits. But maybe they won't play like that. I didn't either. Next game up is St. Johns Xavier. This is one I added on. I'm down to take shots on Xavier at home. They played really good at home against Butler, and I was on Butler in that game. I watched every minute of it. Remember, because that was the game We Love Drugs at $7,000 on Butler. He shared a screenshot of he bet $7,000 on Butler in the group chat, and we were all like, "All right, well, I guess we got to watch this now."
I don't know if I've seen him since. Have we?
No. I don't think we've seen him since that. That might have been he might need to re-up after that. Man. So St. Johns Xavier, like I said, Xavier has shown me some. There's been a couple home games where Xavier impressed me, so I can be talked on to Xavier plus the points at home.
You're not going to hear that from me. It's all St. John's here for me. St. John's probably the hottest team in the country right now, and they are one of the teams with huge home and road splits, significantly better on the road. Significantly better on the road here. I haven't bet this yet. I wanted like a 7.5 or something like that, but there's no way in hell I could get to Xavier in this position. I think that St. John's is kind of on a mission right now. I do think this line opened at 8.5, so it might have gone down a little bit. I haven't. I
can tell you right now. Hold on.
But as he's looking at that, but yeah, I think that St. John's, like I said, is one of the more underrated teams in the country now. And I know I've said that a couple of times, but there's like a group of 5 teams that we're looking at where I feel like St. John's got some bad rap for losing to Alabama and Iowa State and Kentucky and Auburn or early. But since then, they've really turned up. Since that Providence game when they had to go back-to-back road games with Butler and Creighton, it's been a completely different game or completely different team. They're rebounding the ball, and they played one of the strongest schedules in the country as well. So they've been tested throughout the year. So I do think they're one of those teams that will continue to get better as well. I love a good dog, especially multiple possessions, especially in a Big East game. But I don't put too much into stock versus Butler and Creighton. Any other time that Xavier's kind of stepped up in competition, it hasn't been pretty. So it would only be St. John's for me.
It hasn't really moved, to answer your question. It's 7.5, 8.5. So, all right, let's move on to the next one, which is Houston, Texas Tech.
So I got a really good number on this one too. I got 3.5 minus 105 plus 154 on the money line.
You got Texas Tech plus 3.5?
Minus 105, yeah. Plus 154.
Holy shit.
Plus 154 on the money line. It's like one of the first bets I made today. So I think that we all know, again, one of those situations where if you're watching the show, you probably know that last year Houston won both of the games. One of the games, guys were ejected and all that good stuff. I'm not going to get into it because it doesn't really, it matters, but not a ton. But I just want to say this isn't like a fade of Houston or anything like that. I think that Houston is one of those teams that's going to continue to get better. They haven't been like the dominant Houston type of team that we've been used to. I think that's partly because they're actually using some freshmen, that Fleming's kid, and then the Cenac kid, or however you pronounce his last name. If I butchered that, I apologize, kid. But they've been playing really well with them, and I think they're going to continue to get better. My issue is that they're going to be playing a Texas Tech team that has a whole bunch of guys back from last year that's going to remember losing to that. A Texas Tech team that I think is probably just as good, maybe not at the end of the year, but I think right now, and the reason I say that at the end of the year, I think those Texas freshmen continue to be better, and that's why I push them over the edge. But right now, I think these teams are pretty damn equal. And look, I think that you can go schematically back and forth, but I think that you're really going to have to ask Houston to hit their threes, because we talked about that no middle defense, with Chris Beard. Grant McCaslin is in that coaching tree. He runs the same type of defense. So you're really going to have to ask Houston, who's been pretty proficient with the 3-point ball, to do it on the road And I don't know if I'm willing to pay to see it, because why? Well, they haven't really been tested on the road. They've played a whole bunch of neutral court games, which is fine, but they're one of those teams that went to Vegas, but they weren't even tested in Vegas. They got Notre Dame, Syracuse, and Tennessee, essentially the three worst teams in the tournament, give or take. So it's not even like Houston went out to Vegas and played a whole bunch of good teams, and they lost to Tennessee, and it was an overtime game versus Syracuse. So, and then a Cincinnati game where they won that game by 7. First of all, Cincinnati can't score, and they almost gave that game away. They ended up pulling it away at the end. And then their other road game was they absolutely killed Baylor. And I think that we're all in agreement here that Baylor's just not that good right now. So at no point in the year that has Houston went on the road, whether it be on a true road game or on a neutral, and been impressive to me. Even the road game at the beginning of the year to Auburn was a 1-point game as well. So winning on the road with margin is a really tall task for me with this Houston team right now. On top of the fact that you're going to getting a Texas Tech team who's significantly better than any other team they've faced, I think, all year. If you want to argue,
Houston.
What's that?
What do you mean better than they placed all year? They already played Houston. They played already.
I know. I'm just saying that. My point is they're not going to see another harder team in the schedule than Houston. I don't think that that's it. So I don't really put the 4-point loss to Houston. I don't really worry about that too much. I think that these teams are very, very equal. So again, I think this is a Texas Tech spot at home. I think this is a huge step up in competition for them. Again, we'll see what happens. I got 3.5 though.
Well, I mean, if you got 3.5, then you killed it. And it looks like Pinnacle opened up at 2, DraftKings 3.5. Looks like there was a couple 3.5s out there briefly. It's down close to a pick, which I think I will be jumping on the Houston side. You mentioned the Houston 3-point shooting. Well, we already saw Houston beat Texas Tech. They shot 24% from 3. They don't even need 3-point shooting to beat these people, man. This is Houston. Yeah.
We'll see.
I think you should arb out of that plus 3.5. Jump on the winning team. Take your guaranteed profits that you've earned with your great number and get onto the winning side. I think I'm going to take Houston here.
Even that Houston game earlier, I would agree though if you're getting plus. I mean,
at a
plus
pick,
points either way. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't hate that at all.
You can take your guaranteed money right now. Let's see.
I'm a gambler though.
Yeah, tell me who isn't. I can get a -113 money line right now
for Houston.
That's what I'm saying. It's basically a pick now. I'm taking Houston.
It's almost like too much LV for all you conspiracy theory people.
I went in depth on closing line value in the video I uploaded, like deep dive. So yeah, I'm betting Houston. The big time Big 12 games are the best basketball to watch right now.
Oh, awesome. Yes, agreed.
I mean, back in the day, I feel like it was the big time Big East games. Now it's the big 12 games, the Houstons, the Texas Tech. I would love to see a big Arizona game, but I feel like we haven't seen them play a huge Big 12 game. I feel like they're always laying 15.5.
Yeah.
Like Houston, Baylor. Baylor's always, even though like they're not as good as those other teams this year, they're always fun ones to have in there. Kansas. All right, so let's see. Where did your camera go? I was gonna switch it to a 2-person screen, and damn it. All right, so Miami, Syracuse. Did you win your Syracuse bet last time? I remember you bet them.
Yes.
Well, now they're home dogs to Miami.
Oh, wait. I don't know. Did I bet them versus Virginia Tech? I don't remember.
No, I don't know if you did or not. You picked Syracuse on the show, and Virginia Tech won that game. I'm actually now just remembering they did win. So I think.
I don't remember.
I don't know if you
this one's kind of hard for me. I kind of felt like Miami wasn't a good team going into a couple weeks ago. I tried to fade them with Notre Dame, and it didn't really work out. And then they went in, and then they lost their next 2 games, and now they face a Syracuse team that I've had actually a lot of success with this team so far this year. The few times that I've bet them, not saying I haven't lost a bet or anything, but I thought that they were playing a lot better than people were giving them credit for. And then when Donnie Freeman came back, obviously they're probably going to get an upgrade. The last 2 losses, I wish I was getting some more points with Syracuse because
Miami's
just
good,
really,
man.
Yeah, that's where I'm really confused on this one because Syracuse, if you look at them, it's kind of really impressive. I mean, the only time that this team hasn't really looked good was against Iowa State. And again, I've said this on this show, I think once or twice already, that it was one of those games where it was the 3rd game in 3 days. They lost by 30. Like, who cares? It is what it is. Iowa State needed to win. But, I mean, they played a 4-point game to Houston. I mean, Kansas was 11. I mean, Hofstra was a 1-point loss. Clemson, a 3-point loss. Boston College, a 4-point loss. Virginia Tech, a 2-point loss. So, I mean, they're in all of these games. It's really hard to beat them by margin. And as far as Miami is concerned, I really don't know. I don't think that they're that good. I think that they're a product of a really bad schedule. And every time that they've stepped up in competition just a little bit, they've failed. I mean, I guess if you consider Wake Forest a decent team, so be it.
Wow, I didn't realize how easy their schedule was.
Yeah. So I didn't expect them to win the Clemson game. Losing 65-63 to Florida.
You lose a home game to Florida State, that's bad. I didn't even know that happened.
Like, what? I don't even know. Like, yeah, that doesn't even make sense, like, how that happens. So whether Florida State's figured things out or it was just a weird week. I don't know. You can put Syracuse up because they're at home for me and they're the dog. But I think we're going to learn a lot about both of these teams tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll put Syracuse up too. I think Mr. Weskers is a Syracuse fan. He says, my orange isn't losing 4 in a row. I don't give a damn what anyone says. Like, no one picked Miami. I don't give a damn what anyone says.
I like West.
Yeah, he's a character. West Virginia, Arizona. The only reason I clicked this one is because Spoon said that people were upset we don't talk about Arizona games. Well, this is why. They're laying 17.5 again. So we don't have to spend a ton of time on this. Any reason to have any interest at all in this game?
I will. West Virginia is not traveling to the East Coast. I mean, they're obviously traveling. They've already been there for like 4 days or something like that. So maybe that does something. Yeah, it would only be West Virginia in the points for me. It's not like Arizona is just like. I mean, I guess they are just throttling people. It's not terrible. They throttled Cincinnati, but it was 7 points to UCF, 7 points to Arizona State, 13 to TCU. I don't know. I mean, you can go through it if you want. I don't know. It would only be West Virginia for me, just because they've already been out there. If it would have been the first leg of a road trip, maybe, but I don't know.
Let's move on.
I bet this game.
Virginia. What did you bet here?
Don't tell Spoon, guys. I bet Louisville minus 11. It is what it is.
You haven't learned from TV Jones not to bet this team?
I don't know if I've lost a bet against this Louisville team, to be honest with you guys. So this is really weird.
So you're betting for them, and you're laying 12.5 points to a Virginia Tech team that's not that bad.
I'm a sniper, so I'm laying 11. But
it's still a lot. This team sucks.
Okay. So I said going into the Pittsburgh game that sooner or later that this team was just going to catch fire and score 100 points. That's exactly what happened versus Pittsburgh. They couldn't miss from deep. They were 51, I think maybe 52% from deep, whatever, it doesn't matter. My point is that I do think that we're getting to the point where we're starting to a little bit of a buy low. Michael Brown is going to be back tomorrow, which is a huge boost for them. He's probably their best player. I mean, I guess Conwell is probably up there as well, but Michael Brown is by far their best player. So they're going to get him back. I think he's going to be healthy. Again, it's not really a bait of Virginia Tech. I just think this is more of a spot where this number should have been 12.5, 13, something like that, getting up close to 15. Louisville is significantly better than Virginia Tech, and Louisville is going to get this game at home as well. And you have Virginia Tech on the second straight road game where they barely just beat a Syracuse team. Look, I think this is a really good spot for Louisville. And I never, ever say that, but I did bet Louisville minus 11. I think they put up another 100 spot or very close to it and win this game by 15 plus.
All right, so hold on. Let me switch us over to the two-person template here. Might as well, because I think we've seen enough to say that Spoon isn't making it. It's 56 minutes later. All right. Might as well not have Spoon's name up there the whole time. It's like a reminder that he didn't show. Like everyone's like, oh, Spoon's not here. All right. So you took Louisville minus the 12.5. I'm good on this one.
And you hated it.
Well, I just that team has looked so bad, and it's almost like I associate Louisville with TV Jones suffering because I've seen so much pain and shame in his eyes talking about Louisville this year, and it's like I associate Louisville with that. So when I think of Louisville, I think of TV Jones' pain and shame. All right, next up. All right, let's we're on the two-person template now. Central Florida, Colorado. You picked this one.
I did pick this one.
Why?
Because I really like Colorado here. I have Colorado on the money line at minus 130. As long as you can get this number under 3, I am good with it here. Yes, Colorado has lost 4 in a row, but don't really put too much stock into that. I still actually believe that they're a possible at-large team, depending on how they finish this Big 12 conference. I know that might sound crazy, but regardless, the last 4 games, they lost to Texas Tech by 2 at home on this very floor. Man, if they would have won that game, that would have been really, really impressive. And then they have to take their East Coast road trip, or whatever you want to call it, I guess, with Cincinnati and West Virginia. They didn't look good in either one of those games. Then they come home to Kansas. Bill Self has the flu. He doesn't make the flight. Kansas finally has something to play for. And I don't even think that they played bad in that game. I mean, I watched all that game. Kansas had control for most of the game, but it was never like a blowout really situation at all. I felt like Colorado could have covered that game for sure, but regardless, I think you're seeing a significant step down in class against UCF, who I know you can also say the same thing is off back-to-back losses versus Iowa State and Arizona. So, again, not knocking them off of that, but what have they done on the road so far this season to impress me? Again, the Texas A&M one is the first game. It was the third game of the year. But like I talked about earlier when I was talking about Texas A&M schedule, Texas A&M had essentially a whole new basketball team. So, it makes sense that it took them a little bit of time to gel. So when they pretty much, I mean, not blow out, they beat them by 12, but when they beat them significantly, it looks really good on paper. But if you really peel it back a little bit, it's not that impressive. So that's one game where they looked good. And then besides that, I mean, Iowa State and Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma State is, just as good as Colorado, give or take. And that game was a 10-point game as well. And that was a loss. And look, I know that Colorado hasn't been like super impressive, but if there's one thing that they do have is they do have size, and I think they're going to have a significant size advantage in this game as well. I know that UCLA's height looks really there, but their rebounding numbers aren't really the same. I think that this is a really, really good Colorado spot here. So I know I'm kind of talking in circles now, but Colorado's got healthy.
It seems like you got it, because this is another one where it opened up at 1. It's a juice 2.5 now. So this is another one that moved in your favor. If you want Colorado money line, you got to pay for it now. They're considerable favorites. So it did move in your favor again.
So we'll see what happens. But like I said, Colorado's also starting to get a little bit healthy. Yeah.
I went to go tail. I was like, I'll take Colorado money line. Maybe I'll get a minus 125. There's nothing cheaper than minus 140 out there.
The kid Isaiah Johnson, who's the freshman for that Colorado team, he's the one that's like really starting to get going. And if that's the case, like I said, I think they're going to be a little bit undervalued going forward.
Illinois, Purdue,
another one.
So is Purdue just everything back to normal now that they're home? Because I think Purdue has reason to be a little bit concerned here. They are not putting teams away like that. They're playing with their food in almost every single game. I feel like Purdue doesn't look that dominant. And what's going on with TKR? That was fake?
Yes. God damn it.
Scoop. That was fake, right?
Yes.
Okay. What, Scoop was the one that said it? I saw it on Twitter.
Yes, he sent it to me, and he is like, I said, well, what's the credible source? Because I was shocked that I hadn't heard about it, and you did. And I was like, how did the fuck?
Well, I
did
heard
miss
about
that?
it through the Discord. I don't know.
I know. And then I was like, well, I said, where did you get that from? And he said, something in a credible source. And I said, what's the source? And then he sent me the source, and it's one of those parody accounts. And he's like, oh, I thought that. He's like, oh, I like that account. You didn't think I knew it was fake? And I said, no, I didn't think you knew it was fake. No, I didn't.
That was fake. Scoop got sent held.
I'm pretty sure he did. He's going to say he didn't, but I'm almost positive he did.
Well, if the news is fake, he definitely got sent held.
So,
all right. So, does Purdue have reason to be concerned here?
I don't think so. Now at this number, it's a little bit different. I bet Purdue at 3.5.
Damn.
I know.
You've been fucking sniped every single game.
Well, I have all day to look at these lines. I mean, what am I? You know what I mean? There was like barely any games on today, so. Okay, I will give you that Purdue. It looks like Purdue has kind of played with their food lately, but at the same time, they caught a UCLA team who I think is a lot better than people give them credit for. I think that some of their losses are like scheduled losses, especially with how they've had to start the Big Ten schedule. Excuse me. So they didn't look good in that game. They probably still should have won that UCLA game. They didn't, but as 5.5 point favorites, they probably shouldn't have covered, but they probably should have won. They beat a USC team that was, finally starting to play well, had an overtime win on the road at Minnesota. Then they beat Maryland, and then they came back home. Obviously, it is what it is there, but as far as Purdue goes, you could say that they're playing with their food a little bit, but the Iowa State game at home, I just kind of feel like it is like one-off.
I'm not talking about that game. That was a while ago now. I'm talking like their last like 6 or 7 games. I'm pulling it up now, so I don't have it in front of me at the moment. But I remember thinking like, wow, this Purdue team's not really beating teams down like that.
They're not beating them down, but they're winning by multiple possessions. And yes, all these
like
teams.
8 points at home to Penn State is not impressive. 8 points at home to Washington, not impressive. 7 points at home to Iowa. Iowa's a good team, but that 5-point win at USC, lost to UCLA. When's the last time Purdue was impressive? At Wisconsin, January 3rd?
Yeah, I think the Iowa game was pretty impressive as well.
But Iowa was winning that game late.
I know, yeah.
And that's a home game. Like, okay, yeah. So Iowa's a tough opponent, but I happened to watch that game. Iowa was in control for a lot of the game, and still, we're talking about a Purdue home game. They're expected to be in control of the game. Like, the fact that, like, it was a close game against Iowa kind of confirms my point, in my opinion.
Yeah. For me, I just feel like, okay, so for one
now at 5, there's a 6.5 open.
I think that Illinois is really going to have to find themselves without Boswell in the lineup. And that's their point guard. He's like a 5th-year senior. He's the kid that came over from Arizona. Boswell is a very good basketball player, and they didn't have them. They didn't have him against Maryland, and that obviously didn't seem to matter. But Maryland is definitely not Purdue. Obviously, Illinois shot I think 40% from deep, or close to that from deep, and like 55 or 56% from the field. Here's my thing. It's that you're losing your senior point guard. That's kind of the straw that stirs the drink for me. I know that you have the Eastern European connection with all those guys, but Boswell's usually the guy that kind of gets it set up and whatnot. And now you're going to have, the Wrangler kid who's a freshman. I don't really know who's going to handle the ball at all times, but it's not Boswell who's the senior who I trust. Anybody else is going to be a sophomore or one of those Eastern European guys, which I'm not in love with. I like when they're shooting and getting under the basket and stuff, but handling the ball is a little bit of a different situation, especially when you take into consideration you're going to be facing Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, probably one of the best 1-2 punches as far as guards in the country are concerned. You are going to see TKR, which is obviously a positive thing. But again, if you look at Illinois' schedule, very impressive where they're 7-1, but where's the impressive wins? Just find one for me. I guess you can call Iowa on the road impressive because I just called it impressive for Purdue. But besides that, find the impressive win. I'll wait. I'll just, matter of fact, I'm not going to wait. I'll tell you. It's November 11th versus Texas Tech. That game was at home. I just feel like this is a huge step up in competition. And this game is going to be on the road for them. So I know that Iowa game was on the road. I think Purdue is significantly better than Iowa. Iowa's also dealing with a brand new coach. I think this is a smash spot for Purdue here. Like I said, I don't love this step up in competition for Illinois. I don't love that they're losing their senior point guard. I think it's going to be a huge problem in Mackey against Purdue with guards that know what they're doing.
Well, everyone in the comments seems to be leaning towards Illinois, but also, I mean, you got 3.5. They're talking about taking plus 6.5. So we're talking about two completely different.
I wouldn't even look at Purdue at 6.5. No chance.
Yeah. So, all right. The next game is, what do we have next here?
Florida.
Yeah, Auburn, Florida. Yeah, I tried fading Florida the other day. I took LSU plus 15.5. They were actually hanging around for a while, but it was just too much in the second half. Eventually, Florida pulled away. 11.5. Damn. There's the market is kind of hated on Auburn all year.
Yeah, and I feel like the conviction that you had with LSU and too many points is how I feel about Auburn today or tomorrow. So you can put Auburn up for me. I'm not going to bet it. I do feel that Florida is still one of the better teams that nobody is talking about. I do think this is a pretty decent sized step up in competition. And the reason I say this is let's just say that if you're following along at home and on KenPom and you have the Florida KenPom schedule open, I know that Auburn has a 30 by their name, so you could easily type in the comments, well, Toast, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Georgia all have better numbers against them. Yeah, that's true. Georgia has a 27 there because Georgia's played a terrible schedule. I think a lot of that's aided by them being able to get wins against bad competition. Tennessee really isn't the same Tennessee. They're out of the top 25 now. Again, don't put too much into that. The Vanderbilt win looks really good for Florida. Again, we were on them. They were dogs in that game, but they never should have been dogs. Vanderbilt's kind of one of those overrated teams in the country for me. So for me, personally, when I look at this, I feel like Auburn is actually a little bit of a step up in competition for this team from what they have seen over the last couple weeks. Do I really want to get involved with Auburn on the road? I don't really know. I do think this could be a recipe for disaster for them, but because they've played teams that are big, that are able to shoot like like Arizona, like Michigan, like Purdue, and they've been absolutely blown out in those games. So now I will give you that those games, one of those games was on a neutral, I think, and the Purdue game was a semi away. But regardless, on the road against the upper echelon teams, especially the big ones that can shoot threes, is not a place you want to be with Auburn. So they've played one of the strongest schedules in the country: Houston, Michigan, Arizona, Purdue, Georgia, Texas A&M, Missouri, Arkansas, all those teams in the top 20, most of those teams in the top 10, some of them in the top 5. So it would only be Auburn for me. I really wish
Auburn, dude.
Yeah, I really wish I could get there, but
I think I can get there.
I hope you do.
Well, this opened at 9.5 mostly, and now
lick back.
Well, yeah, get my lick back is right. This opened at 9.5, and now I can get a 12.5 right now, and it seems like
that's wild.
It seems like I'm getting a little bit on a bubble there.
Yeah, 12.5 is.
Well, you mean to tell me that the market has Auburn and LSU as similar?
I was just about to look at the.
Well, obviously, I mean, like we have another data point, so maybe. Florida's win over LSU upgraded them in the markets. Like they now feel stronger about Florida, but Auburn just picked up a road win too. Where'd they go? Who'd they just beat? Ole Miss, right?
Ole Miss, yeah.
So Auburn just picked up a road win.
Florida was 10-point favorites against Georgia at home 2.5 weeks ago, and those teams are very similar. I think Auburn's a little bit better. Matter of fact, yeah, I think Auburn's a little bit better. So.
12.5. I think this is going to come back down. What's the money line? Just saying.
It's a juicy one. 610. 610 on FanDuel right now. Everywhere else is in the 500s. Like,
what about a trade? What about a possible trade? What about a trade if we considered a trade? Hold on. Let me see if I can still get this 12.5. 12.5. I'm in.
Center, find Florida. I just wanted to see what their shot quality scores were.
And yes, I'm going to glance at the money line.
Ooh, the Vanderbilt. Okay. everything else is a win. They won against Vanderbilt. They had shot quality graded that as a 6-point loss, but nothing crazy there.
I can get a plus 610.
Yeah, I think everywhere else is in the 5s.
No, I'm not doing. I'm just gonna take my 12.5. Not gonna get crazy. Although college basketball Saturdays. What?
Just for the record, not that shot quality is the end all be all, but like I talked about, Auburn lost to Texas A&M, Missouri, and Georgia. Shot quality graded those all as winners. So just a little bit more.
Find a half unit on the money line.
Just saying. Now at 12.5, now I got to write this down. I think I might have to jump in.
I already took the 12.5. Just a sprinkle on the money line. Just a little bit of a how's your father. Auburn. Plus 610. Let's go.
Here, go get this Texas to Uncle Jamie.
Texas to Uncle Jamie. Does he know how to text?
It's Wyatt.
Oh, I thought it was Reese.
No.
He's like, that kid does not know how to text. He's like 4.
No, he's 3, but no, he doesn't know how to text. He did. He does know that it was so funny. In Disneyland, there was a no smoking sign, and he's like, "Hey, you can't smoke here." And I was like, "That's right."
Text this. All right. Why are we so off center? I already know you're trying to take UNLV because you've been slurping this team the entire season. You love this team.
Coming off a huge win versus Utah State on the road. That being said, this UNLV team at home has been a weird team, to say the least. Couple good performances, a couple terrible performances as well. But I will say that, I mean, really since the beginning of December, this team has kind of been on a roll here. The Tennessee State game looks weird, but that wasn't a true home game. It still was, again, I don't really put too much stock into semi-homes and whatnot, but it wasn't a true home game. But it's more, as much as I would love to take UNLV, it's more of what am I going to get out of San Diego State for me, and can I lay this number with them, because they've been tested on the road a few times this year, and they've been completely fine. The one time that they didn't look good on the road was against Arizona, but versus San Jose State, Nevada, and Wyoming, were able to win with by multiple possessions. They're coming off a game a Grand Canyon game where I feel like they should have won that game. And now they're on a second straight road game. I want to bet San Diego State just because I feel my heart says UNLV, but San Diego State in my everything else tells me to bet San Diego State because I feel like just maybe the market is overvaluing UNLV just a little bit here. I don't think their home wins has been as impressive as what they're going to be facing against San Diego State, but I don't know. I feel like if they would have lost that Utah State game, and let's just say they lose that Utah State game by 4 or 5, this number is probably like 7.5, 8. So I just don't know. I guess I just don't have a good read on this one. So you could put San Diego State out for me. I really want to bet them because I do feel like it's a little bit short, but I don't know. I
just lost betting that stupid ass team. No, against Grand Canyon. We all did. You, Spoon, like I think all of us collectively as a community had San Diego State in that game.
They literally just didn't show up at a halftime.
How you gonna lay 3 to the Blue Demons here? What?
Especially with Seton Hall. You
with
kidding
Seton
me?
Hall? I added this one. Toast did not select this game. So Seton Hall, I think, is finally what Toast has been calling them overrated. Is it finally coming to fruition that this team is overrated?
I think so. Losers of 3 in a row.
Ugh. So will it be 4 in a row at the hands of the Blue Demons? They lost a home game. See, like 2 of the losses, it's UConn and St.Johns.
I know. I was going to say that. Yeah.
Seton Hall reminds me of the team, and granted, I've only watched 2 Seton Hall games, but Seton Hall reminds me of the type of basketball team that they're scrappy and they're good defensively, whereas the type of team that you don't lay points with, but you don't lay a big number 2 either, where every single game is going to be sloppy and close. That's how they strike me as.
Yeah. I mean, and you can go through their games. I mean, I can't go through them all right now in detail, but the Georgetown game was close throughout. The Creighton game was close throughout.
They were losing that Georgetown game the entire time.
Yeah. The Marquette game.
They were losing that Creighton game the entire time too.
No, it's all the same thing. It's like they don't play for the first three-fourths of the game.
DePaul's won 3 home games in a row.
Yeah. And I guess.
Oh my God, am I betting the Blue Demons here?
No, you're not. I mean, you can't. It's just, man. It's just, I just don't think that Seton Hall's that good, guys. I just don't think they should be laying points on the road. Do I think that they probably win this game? Yeah. But do I think that you should be laying a full possession or more with them? Absolutely not. I don't. And I know that I've had a lot of fun talking shit about this team, give or take, but usually, like Kyle said, if they're a team that you want to get a plus a possession or like on a money line short, like you don't want to be laying 3 points with this team because it's just they haven't shown the ability to win by margin versus good teams or bad teams. So now you're going to go on the road against a DePaul team that finally has a little bit of life in their building. I just can't do it. So I think that all the positives that you can say for DePaul, you can say for Seton Hall and vice versa. I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. I know that Seton Hall analytically is a lot better in most places, but I really feel like the gap between these two teams is pretty small. But again, it would only be DePaul for me.
No, guys, I did not fire Spoon. It's like, he's just not here tonight. And Jen, by the way, Jen, I saw your comment before asking. She said that you should consider doing the show earlier to get on the opening lines. I would love that. You know, that's our shit. Is jumping on soft openers. That's what we do. It's not that consistent because 2 weeks ago we actually had to start the show an hour late because the lines weren't open. If you were watching 2 weeks ago, we didn't start the show till like 1 a.m. because we were waiting for them to open. So it's tough to hammer down a schedule. Because we don't know exactly when they're going to open them either, you know?
Well, and then they open half of them, but they don't open half the other half, or vice versa.
Yeah, or like Pinnacle and Circa aren't open, and then it's like, what the hell? Like everyone's going to move when they open anyway.
Everything's going to be based off of what they do anyway. So what's the point?
So TCU Baylor, Big 12 matchup here. TCU catching 4.5. What in the hell? The disrespect that the market has for TCU.
I know this is your squad, but I do agree.
What?
I don't know what to think of Baylor, guys. Yes, they have all their losses.
They're not good.
I think I agree. I haven't been betting them. I really wish I would have bet Texas Tech, but I thought that thing was weird. But I think I'm going to end up betting TCU tomorrow. I'm not going to let another weird line throw me off of this Baylor team. Maybe they're just getting way too much respect because of the name on their chest and
name brand,
and Scott Drew. Because again, yes, you can say they lost to Texas Tech and Kansas and Houston and Iowa State and this TCU team before. So maybe that's like the one little wrinkle here. But and you can say, "Oh, Toast, you always say that this team is significantly better or worse or whatever," and I agree with that. But at the same time, I mean, at no point has Baylor shown that they can win against upper echelon competition, and TCU is upper echelon competition. Again, they won on the second day of a tournament. They got to beat San Diego State. That's probably their best win. Creighton's not a very good basketball team. Again, it's just not. And not to mention that game was in November. Who cares? But since then, anytime that they've stepped up in any type of competition, they've lost. And I guess that's upper echelon competition because they play in the Big 12. But it's not like TCU is playing a whole bunch of cupcakes either, guys. TCU also lost on the road in Kansas, our overtime game. They probably should have won. They hung in close against Arizona. And then they have 2 losses to BYU and Utah, their mountain trip. They probably could have won both of those games. They should have won the BYU game. They got absolutely reffed, and I never say that. But man, at the runs that BYU was getting in that game, it would be like and 1, and then they get a steal, there'd be another and 1, and it'd be like a 5 or 6 point possession for BYU, and it seemed to happen consistently. And then they go on the road to Utah, another one where it was a battle back and forth. Utah came out absolutely hot. I think they were up like 21-8 or something crazy like that. TCU came all the way back. They ended up losing that game by 3. And then they finally figured it out getting back home against Oklahoma State. I think this is a really, really good shot for TCU. They do have Houston on deck, but I think that if you're a team like TCU in the Big 12, you take every game you can seriously because you need to get as many wins as possible. again, the only thing that's throwing me off is that these two teams have already played. But again, I just don't think that you should be getting points with TCU. It's just point blank period.
On a neutral floor right now, wouldn't you say TCU's up about a half point?
Yeah, it would be like TCU -1.
Exactly. So look, I know these Big 12 games, and a team like Baylor probably has a dope home environment, but like a point, maybe a point and a half. This is 2.5 points of where you would think it would be.
And honestly, and I could be wrong, and if I am, please roast me in the comments, but I don't think Baylor's new building is that impressive for the students and stuff like that. I don't think it's great. I could be wrong there, but I don't remember hearing anything special about since they've moved into the Foster Center or whatever.
How new is it?
I want to say like 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years. Nah,
Baylor hasn't won a home game since Arlington Baptist on December 29th.
Yeah.
They haven't even won a game. They haven't even won a Big 12 game in this building yet?
No, they've been bad.
What the hell? Poor Baylor.
It was completed in 2024, so only 2 years.
All right, a couple games left. Kansas State. And the only reason I put this one on there, I edited it. It's a rivalry game, and last year, both of these games were fun as hell. The Kansas State games were awesome last year. I think Kansas State beat them in the second one, and it was fun. And I'm pretty sure I had Kansas, so I was watching losing a bet, and I remember thinking, like, wishing I had Kansas State because the game looked so fun, if I remember that correctly.
Kansas went on the road to Kansas State and won, and then Kansas State went on the road and beat Kansas.
They beat them in the fog, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that, and I took Kansas like -10.5 in that second game, and Kansas State beat them, and I remember watching it. So that's the only reason I added this one is this game is usually pretty heated and pretty fun. You didn't select it. Do you have any thoughts?
Feels a little short for Kansas, to be honest with you guys. Ken Palm has this game 7, and I mean, it feels a little bit short. I mean, obviously Kansas on the road hasn't been anything spectacular. But I don't know, man. I don't really worry about Bill Self being there or not being there. It's more of like, what are you going to get out of Darian Peterson? And he seems to be like he's playing his 30-plus minutes a night. And if that's the case, this feels extremely short with Kansas. Now, the travel spot for Kansas is really bad, and maybe that's why we're getting, if you're trying to bet Kansas State, you're getting a little bit, or we're getting a discount with Kansas, because according to the Ken Palm number, that should be 7. But Kansas had to play, had a home game against Baylor, then they had to fly across the country to Colorado, play that game, and then they had to fly back across, not full across the country, but farther enough, 4 days later and play Kansas State. So it's just really not a great travel spot. And the only reason that I even bring that up is because if you have a guy like Darian Peterson who plays but doesn't play, like, it just worries me that maybe you don't see him for the full game. I have nothing that I've read or seen that has it to back that up, but it's just a weird feeling for me. And the fact that this line's already short. But I do think that Kansas is a lot better than people give them credit for. They've played, I think, the hardest schedule in the country besides Alabama. So they've been tested a lot, and it's really easy to look down on them because of their 14-5 record when they've lost some bigger games. But they've also been tested a lot too. It would only be Kansas for me, but man, this is really, really short.
They turned over a new leaf, Kansas too. I
feel like they have too, but why is it only 4.5?
Because they're getting priced like the basketball they were playing back in December, because they didn't look very strong. But I feel like this Kansas team is better than the Kansas team we saw. Man, that was so impressive against Iowa State. I had Kansas money line. That was freaking awesome. Then they beat the shit out of Baylor too. I think this Kansas team in the last couple weeks has turned a new leaf. And
I agree.
The reason the number's short is because they're still getting priced like the Kansas we were seeing last month.
And maybe to that, I mean, their 2 losses in conference are both on the road too. So So
all right, I'm putting Kansas up. 2 games left, and then we'll call it. So if I've bet it twice in a row, it's cashed twice in a row. Has the market caught up with the Gonzaga offensive injuries?
No, they have not, guys. I bet 148.5 last show for a full unit. I woke up, it was 150.5. I bet that too. Cashed them both. Under, guys. Again, I'll go through it.
So they're
really
just 2 injured. Their 2 best scorers are injured, right?
Our two best scorers are injured. I'm not 100%.
Why is nobody picking up on this?
I have no idea, and I just don't get it.
All right, well, it cast for me twice in a row. I'm not.
When that number went to 150, I was truly dumbfounded. Like I didn't understand. I was like, okay, EK must be coming back. And he was not coming back at all. I don't know what his status is for tomorrow. He's been in a boot for a while. We've only been able to see him in boots, so it is what it is. But the articles that I've seen, it's like question is, does he play or does he not play? I don't think we're going to know. My guess is no. So to that point, and I talked about this Gonzaga team going into I think the Santa Clara game as well, that there's a lot of positives about this Gonzaga team. They only obviously have one loss. That was to Michigan, yada, yada, yada. But there's also a lot of negatives. And one of the things is that they don't get to the line. They don't really I know that their numbers for three look good, but they're really not a good three-point shooting team. And when you take Huff and EK away, the two guys that are hurt, they really have nobody outside of them to score the basketball. And now we have seen it in back-to-back nights with Seattle and Pepperdine, where the number has been, I feel like, almost like 5 or 6 points off. And I know that's a lot of points. But that Seattle game, I felt like it was almost 10 points off. That game was never even close to the under. I think we beat it by like 25 points. And that's not an exaggeration. The Pepperdine game, I think we only beat it by 4 or 5 points.
Yeah, but I watched the whole second half. We should have had it. The game at the end, they started running and shooting threes because it was a blowout.
I was just about to say that. Like, there was some weird stuff at the end of the game where I still feel like that number should have been close. Yeah, should have been close to that 10 number still. And so in my head, I feel like, and I know this is a lot of points and stupid to say, especially on a show like this, but I still feel like the number is almost 10 points off. I would have played under 145 here. I know that's not 10 points, but over 150, having this number over 150 to me is just absolutely insane. Without EK and Huff, there's nobody on this Gonzaga team that can score. Nobody. So they can play extremely good defense. They are one of the best defensive teams in the country. No question about that. And oh, by the way, San Francisco is not bad of a defensive team either. Neither one of these teams are going to be able to score. Also, on top of that, neither one of these teams shoot the free throws well either. So there's going to be no free points either. Under. And until the market figures this out, we're going to be playing unders every single Gonzaga game until they stop cashing at least.
Yeah.
Because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, like I said, I've failed you on this twice in a row, and neither time. The second time they got somewhat close, but it shouldn't have been. So yeah,
I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Under. Ride it till the wheels fall off.
Goddamn right.
All right. Next up. Last game up, and then we'll call it. I got a video up that's almost 2 hours long if you guys want to listen to me ramble about a bunch of topics after this. Tennessee, Alabama, Tuscaloosa.
Another one where I really like Alabama. I got them 3.5 plus 100. So a little bit of a different number. If you could get it under 5, I would be okay with it. I really like this Alabama team. I have a lot of success betting this team. I really like Nate Oates as a coach. I think that what he does is really impressive. Even with bringing back Bediako and the Brandon Miller stuff and all that stuff, whatever. So they do have Holloway, who's on the injury report, is questionable. It's probably 50-50 that he plays. I think he only played a few minutes the last game. He played the full game last game. But regardless, didn't really look good. But regardless, I don't really care about the Alabama injuries. I know that that's a weird thing to say, but this team has played an absolute gauntlet from start to finish. The number 1 schedule in the country, number 8 as far as non-con. I mean, playing teams like St. John's, Purdue, Illinois, Gonzaga, UNLV, Clemson, Arizona, Texas, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. This team is just, like I said, just an absolute gauntlet. And the team, when they have lost, I mean, they lost at home to Purdue after Purdue. I'm pretty sure we bet Purdue. What happened? I can't remember what happened in that game. Oh, that was after Alabama had the huge game against St. John's on the road. Then we faded them. Purdue came in and beat them. They also lost to Gonzaga a game where Gonzaga was just like unconscious from inside the arc. I think they shot like 60% from the field. They just had no answers for Huff. And I think somebody else like randomly on the bench had a big game for Gonzaga. But regardless, still losing to Purdue and Gonzaga. And then their third loss, Arizona. It is what it is. Two of the best teams in the country. And then there's Gonzaga, top, call it 10 or 15 team, whatever. I don't care. And then you get to their other two losses. And this matters to me a lot. You have the Vanderbilt game where I've already talked about earlier multiple times. Alabama shot 9 for 40. I'll never forget that. 9 for 40 in that game. A couple more threes dropped. They probably win that game. They lose that game by 6 on the road. Then they come back, and it's almost like they just couldn't get things going against Texas. The three-point shot was there, but inside really wasn't there. They were kind of fighting back and forth, and Texas ended up winning that game. But that game went over like we thought it would, easy. And then they go on the road to 2 games against Mississippi State and Oklahoma. But more than I just wanted to point that out because I feel like there's this idea that Alabama is not one of the best teams in the country because of the injuries. But like I said, if you look at their schedule and what they've done in their body of work, it's been really impressive. And with Tennessee, it's almost been the opposite. They looked like that Houston win that they got in Las Vegas looks so good for them right now because if they don't have that, I mean, at what point in this schedule have they done anything that's impressive? We've talked about Louisville ad nauseum on this show that they're not that impressive of a basketball team. Are they a top 25 team? Sure. I will give you guys that, but they're not like one of the upper echelon teams in the country. Maybe when they get Mikael Brown back like they are tomorrow, things will change. But as of right now and over the last month and a half, 2 months, I don't consider that a great win. So they won that game going away, but Tennessee also shot 40% from deep. They shot almost 65% from the field. They couldn't miss. It happens. But, I mean, any other time that they've stepped up in competition, they haven't really looked good at all. I mean, they beat Texas, and the Texas A&M game, I still don't know how they won. It was for me, it was more of Texas A&M pissing down their leg than anything. It is what it is. But I feel like Tennessee is super, super overrated. I think that they get a little bit of credit because their schedule has been good. But keep in mind, Kansas wasn't playing good when they played them out in Las Vegas. They got absolutely not murdered by Syracuse, but they lost that game by 2. But Syracuse really looked good in that second half in that game, and that was really concerning. But again, I just don't know where Tennessee keeps up with this game because Alabama can shoot over the top of anything that Tennessee can do. I just don't feel like where Tennessee is going to score because that's another thing that we don't talk about with Alabama is that Alabama is pretty damn good defensively. They're definitely not what they are offensively, but Tennessee, everybody thinks that Tennessee is this really great, fantastic defensive team. And again, they're like top 25 or so in the country, sure, but that's nothing that Alabama hasn't seen. Like I said, Alabama has been playing the strongest schedule, one of the strongest schedule, or the strongest schedule in the country. Tennessee ranks 14th in defensive efficiency. Alabama's seen teams like St. John's, Purdue, Illinois, Gonzaga, Clemson, Arizona. Kentucky's 36, so that doesn't really fall into it. But all those teams that I just mentioned are very close to that number 14 as far as defensive efficiency is concerned. So I think this is a great spot for Alabama. Like I said, I think Tennessee is completely overrated right now. I think Alabama wins this game in a rout. I do think they win this game by 10 plus. The difference is that's when you're betting, you don't want to be taking bad numbers like that. So I do think they win in a rout, but I don't think you should be laying over 5.
Yeah, you can still get a flat 5. You got 3.5, you said?
Yeah, plus 100.
All right, everyone. Like I said, I uploaded a video. It's almost 2 hours long where I talked about like closing line value. If you're like somebody that is curious about that kind of stuff, there's a bunch of topics in there. So it's a long watch. So get comfortable. So yeah, if you want to check that out. Tomorrow I'll be uploading the NFL video for Conference Championship Sunday. Let's have ourselves a great weekend. Please remember to